I always thought marriages broke loudly, with shouting, broken plates, cries for help. But mine didn't. Mine broke in silence, in the quiet tightening of my husband's words, in the subtle changes of his tone, in the way the walls of my home became both my shelter and my prison without me even realizing it. In the beginning, Salman was gentle, thoughtful, caring in ways that made me believe I had finally found someone who saw me, someone who valued me, someone who understood the fragile parts of my heart. But love, I later learned, becomes dangerous when it comes wrapped in control, disguised as care. The first year, he told me he loved how much I smiled. The next year, he told me I smiled too much at others. The first year, he told me he adored my friends. The next year, he told me they took too much of my time. The first year, he praised me for my independence. The next year, he complained that I didn't need him enough. And slowly, I changed. Not all at once, not in a way anyone would notice. Instead, piece by piece, like a statue being sculpted by silent hands, until there was almost nothing left that resembled who I once was. At first, the bruises were not on my skin. They were on my heart, my confidence, my self-worth. The physical bruises came later, when words were no longer enough for him to remind me of my place. I remember the first time he hurt me, truly hurt me. The argument started over something small, the kitchen being messy, a call I didn't answer quickly enough, something meaningless that should never have escalated. His hand struck my cheek before I even understood what was happening. The shock hit me harder than the pain. I touched my face, confused, trembling. He cried afterward, held me, apologized until his voice broke, promised it would never happen again, told me he loved me too much, that his emotions just overwhelmed him. And I believed him, because I wanted to, because believing the person you love is easier than accepting the truth. But never again became again and again. Soon, the apologies stopped. The bruises didn't. He changed in public too, but in a different way. Softer, kinder, more attentive. People adored him. "He's so patient," they would say. "He's so good to you." And I would smile, pretending I lived the life they imagined for me. When I finally gathered the courage to whisper to someone that things weren't right, to hint that I was scared, Salman found out. I never understood how, but he confronted me with a calmness that terrified me. "Don't humiliate me," he said. "Don't make people think you're unstable." After that, the gaslighting began. "You're imagining things. You're exaggerating. You're too emotional. Maybe you need help. No one will believe you." And terrifyingly, I began to believe him. Days blurred into nights, nights into weeks. I forgot what it felt like to laugh, to breathe without fear, to sleep without flinching at every sound. My body carried marks hidden beneath clothing, but my soul carried wounds no one could see. The day I finally left wasn't planned. It wasn't brave. It wasn't the dramatic escape I imagined. It was simple, quiet, a moment of pure desperation. He had come home angry. I never discovered why. Maybe traffic. Maybe something at work. Maybe nothing at all. His rage didn't need a reason. He shoved me, harder than usual. I fell into the corner of the table, pain exploding in my ribs and shoulder. I tasted blood, vision blurred, and something inside me, something small but stubborn, whispered, "If you don't leave today, you will die here." The thought didn't feel dramatic or emotional. It felt like a fact, cold, simple, true. I waited until he showered. My hands shook as I packed a small bag, some clothes, my passport, a photograph of myself before the marriage. When I stepped out of the house, I felt like a thief stealing my own life. I didn't know where I was going. I just walked, and kept walking until my legs trembled. I found a small cafe on a quiet street. The warm, yellow lights inside felt safer than anything I'd felt in years. That's where I met Amina. She looked at me, really looked, with eyes that seemed to understand too much. She didn't ask questions I wasn't ready to answer. She offered water, then tea, then a small room upstairs when my body collapsed from exhaustion. For the first time in years, I slept without fear of footsteps approaching my bedroom door. But fear is not a door you close in one night. It follows you, in your heartbeat, in the way your shoulders tense when someone raises their voice, in the way your breath catches at the sound of a phone ringing. The next morning, Amina helped me go to a clinic. I tried to hide the bruises, but the doctor noticed. She asked quietly, gently, "Who did this to you?" The words choked me. I nodded instead of speaking. "You're safe now," she said. Safe. The word felt unreal. The support group came next. Women with tremoring voices, women with silent tears, women with broken ribs and broken spirits, women who understood without me saying anything. Their stories were mirrors reflecting pieces of my life. I spoke too. Not everything, not yet, but enough to breathe. I was rebuilding myself, grain by grain, until the phone call. I answered automatically. "Amina Cafe." Silence. Then his voice. "Where are you?" Everything inside me froze. My heart stopped. My throat closed. His anger seeped through every word. "How dare you run? Do you know how foolish you look? Come home before things get worse." Worse. The word echoed in my head long after Amina grabbed the phone and hung up. I broke down, shaking, crying. "He found me!" But he didn't. Not really. He only guessed. Yet the fear was enough to unravel me again. A few days later, a letter arrived. No name, no return address. Just my initials in his handwriting. "You belong to me. Come back before I make you regret leaving." My hands trembled as I read. Amina took the letter, face pale. "He's trying to scare you, but he doesn't know where you are." I wanted to believe her, but fear has a voice louder than reason. That night, I barely slept. I kept imagining him at the door, at the cafe, on the street. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow made my breath hitch. But the next morning, something inside me hardened. I was tired of living scared, tired of letting someone who broke me continue to decide my life. I went to the support group again. The counselor, Farah, placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. Healing is not the absence of fear. Healing is walking forward despite it. I cried into her shoulder, and something inside me shifted. For the next few weeks, I worked at the cafe. I cooked, I cleaned, I served customers. Amina taught me how to bake pastries and how to laugh again. Some days were good, others weren't. But slowly, I began to feel human again. Until one evening, everything changed. I was closing the cafe alone. Lights off, chairs stacked. The street outside was quiet. Too quiet. As I turned the key in the door, a figure stepped out of the shadows. My breath caught. My knees weakened. My vision blurred. Salman. He looked exactly the same, calm, confident, dangerous. "I knew you'd be here," he said softly. My heart pounded painfully. "Leave," I whispered. He took a step forward. "Come home." "No." He tilted his head in a way I remembered too well, the way he did before hurting me. "You're embarrassing yourself," he said. "You're my wife." "Not anymore." His eyes darkened. "You think these people can protect you? You think you can survive without me?" "I already am," I whispered, though my voice shook. His hand shot forward, grabbing my wrist too tightly. Pain shot up my arm. At the exact moment I thought I would shatter again, a voice rang out behind me. Let her go. Amina. She stood there, holding her phone, recording. One more step, she warned, and this video goes to the police. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in his eyes. He released me. This isn't over, he hissed. Yes, Amina said. It is. He walked away, disappearing into the night. I collapsed in her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. My entire body shook with years of pain pouring out at once. The next morning, Amina helped me file a report. The doctor provided medical documentation. The support group stood with me. And for the first time in years, people believed me. The legal process was slow, exhausting, and painful. But every time I felt like giving up, Amina reminded me, "You deserve peace. You deserve life." Months passed. Healing was not linear. Some days I woke up gasping from nightmares. Some days I laughed so hard I cried. Some days I felt strong. Other days I felt as fragile as glass. But little by little, the world felt brighter. One afternoon, I found myself standing in front of the mirror, the photograph of my younger self in my hand. The girl in the photo smiled freely, and for the first time, I looked at my reflection and saw a glimpse of her. Not all of her, but enough. Enough to know she wasn't lost. Enough to know I was finding her again. Enough to know I was alive. And this time, I belonged to no one but myself.